is it. You never have to feel like you got to do it by yourself.
Unbelievable throw. Under pressure. Sacked by Quentin Williams. Right sideline, Uzama's got it.
You look to your left and your right, you got guys out there with you that our whole point is to help each other.
This one to Mims. That's Corey Davis climbing the ladder.
To be able to go out and lead these guys, just to know how hard these guys work and how important it is to them, and then you get that chance to lead them. Everything that happened that needed to happen for us, it almost felt like kind of like a sign, like get like a second chance almost.
Gets extra pushes, running left.
Maybe a little extra life breathing in the locker room.
Touchdown Jets.
Welcome to the cockpit. My name's Ryan, and I'll be your pilot tonight. Boys and girls, the New York Jets are officially eliminated from playoff contention with the loss to the Seattle Seahawks yesterday. Womp. Brutal way to start the new year. Jets lose to the Seattle Seahawks 23-6 in a game that really was not as competitive as the score would indicate. Not that the score really indicates that anyway, but we're going to talk about it. I got a poll question in the live chat right now. Should the Jets move on from offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur? You can vote yes or no in the poll. We'll talk a little bit about this. Topics for tonight. Let's see. Topics for tonight. Should anyone be fired? Thoughts on the 2023 season and who starts at quarterback in 2023. I should probably say thoughts on the 2022 season. That would be smarter. Let's do that. Bam. Thoughts on the 2022 season. All right. So let me answer my own questions and we can go through it that way. You guys can populate any questions you may have as you pop in, but don't forget to hit the like button on the way in here. All right, so should anyone be fired? I would say I don't want to see anyone like Joe Douglas or Robert Saleh fired. If you are going to fire someone, it should be Mike LaFleur. I don't know if that's necessarily the right move either. I think if you still believe that there's more in Zach Wilson than what we've gotten out of him, then yeah, you probably pull the trigger on LaFleur. If Woody feels like he has to make a change, which I feel like based on how everything kind of went down at the end here, that he would want to do that. So yeah, then you move on from LaFleur. If you're looking at other guys, Frank Reich is a popular name that pops up because of his time in Philadelphia with Joe Douglas. You know, would they want to bring in someone like that? He's got some pretty good success with quarterbacks. Would he be willing to take an offensive coordinator job? Maybe he doesn't want to be a head coach for a year or something like that. A lot of times when a guy gets fired as a head coach, he's not necessarily jumping into a gig right away, unless you're Adam Gase coming from Miami going to the Jets. So yeah, I don't know if we'll see anyone fired. I think we're definitely going to see a quarterback coach brought in though. And one name that I think should be on the short list, or at least to keep an eye on, is the former offensive coordinator or would it be quarterback coach, I guess, from the Green Bay Packers, Nathaniel Hackett. I believe it's son of Paul Hackett. Is that right? Let me know if that's right. It sounds right. Just because of the ties to LaFleur. If he comes in as a quarterback's coach, sometimes guys that are like really good positional coaches are not really good head coaches. And I think that's probably a little bit of what you saw with Hackett. I think maybe having him take a step back, it's almost like the same idea with Rex, right? Like a lot of people loved Rex as a defensive coordinator and would have loved to keep him as a defensive coordinator while getting a different head coach. And that was like the theories that were thrown around forever under the Rex regime. Similar idea, right? Maybe he becomes an interesting option for the New York Jets if we're looking to try and maybe keep LaFleur but have someone that may be a little more in the wheelhouse, knows the offense from his time in Green Bay. I don't know. We're going to need some kind of help. Does John Beck coming in as quarterback coach actually move the needle? Like, do you hire someone specifically for Zach, or do you hire someone that you think could bring in an offensive system, if you're going the Fire LaFleur route, bring in an offensive system that could work with Zach? I don't know. I'm kind of stumped on that one. Like, in my mind, I kind of think of like Jimmy G is our top option if LaFleur stays. Then, like, you know, if we get a different offensive coordinator, then, well, I don't know if Jimmy G makes sense anymore. Maybe Carr makes more sense, or maybe, you know, this other quarterback. Who knows? It's fascinating to see what Joe Douglas, what Woody Johnson, what they're going to do, if anything. This was going to be a 3-year project. I'm not so sure pulling the carpet out right now when I don't know. I don't want to call it a knee-jerk move because this has been like a slow, painful, like dying of a season. It felt like death by 1,000 paper cuts. Not great. As far as my thoughts on the 2022 season, I think this is the type of year that you can look at in multiple lenses and find plenty of positive things. Like, I think we can come out of this year very confident in this year's draft class. Everyone aside from, you know, maybe Max Mitchell not getting enough playing time and then not really seeing Jeremy Ruckert. Everyone else seems to be good to above average. And I think I like where our edge rush presence is going to be with Clemens and with Jermaine Johnson, with the potential of maybe moving on from someone like Carl Lawson at the end of the year. Overall, I did think we overachieved, at least early on in the season. I would say this season feels disappointing because we did not make the playoffs. I would maybe second it with, there's a few ways you can kind of look at it, right? Like, even the beginning part of the season, I feel like there was a little bit of smoke and mirrors. Like, if we're being really honest, we got Lamar Jackson in the rain. We contained him well. Obviously, we lost that game. We get the fluke win against the Browns. You lose to the Bengals, which, you know, kind of checks out, makes sense. You beat the lowly Steelers at the time. Mitch Trubisky gets pulled at halftime. You face the first ever viewing of Kenny Pickett on the national stage in terms of the NFL play. So you get that one. Then you get Miami, who's third-string quarterback. Then you get Green Bay, like, coming back from London. Rodgers clearly banged up. Like, you get that one. Then you get the Denver win, but you don't score any points after Breece Hall and AVT come out. All right, well, we got that win, right? Like, okay, I feel like, not that we're getting by the skin of our teeth, but I feel like there was a little bit more fool's gold built in the beginning part of the season, and a little, I don't know. Maybe I'm talking myself into like a really not so great situation for the coaching staff. If the beginning part doesn't mean as much as I thought it did, and the tail end of the schedule meant more than I thought it did, and we lost the tail end of the schedule, I don't know. The pivotal point for this franchise for this year felt like it was the second New England game. It was coming out of the bye, coming out flat, not being able to score any points at all. And ultimately, what wound up getting Zach Wilson benched, and he would have stayed benched the entire season had Mike White not gotten hurt. Or at least I believe that. So what's the deal? Like, it took us like a little bit of time. And I feel like maybe the Patriots solved the Jets just during that first Patriot game, right? Like, the game after the Breece Hall AVT injuries. This Jets team was built to play ball control, built to run the ball deep into games, built to bully you around on the offensive line, and then take shots off the play action. When your running game and offensive line are non-existent, like we've seen the last 2 months of the season, play action doesn't really work. And the Patriots, during that first game against us, showed the formula. Let Zach beat you. Now, Zach had a great game as far as, like, you know, the yardage and the box score stuff. He had 355 yards. Some of that a little fluffed up due to like a late touchdown and whatnot. Stop the run. Make him beat you. Patriots wound up beating us. The Bills couldn't do it. They could not stop our run. Josh Allen throws 2 interceptions, neither one of them really looking remotely good. I would say call those ugly interceptions from Josh Allen. And they miss a field goal. Jets squeak by 3 points. And then you obviously got the New England game afterwards. So as much as we won that game against the Bills and we're riding high going into the bye, there was some signs. There were some signs there. And then Mike White comes in, has the game against the Bears. I think there's a lot of frustration from I think there is a responsibility of the coach to not let the team get too high and not get too low. And I do think there's probably a little bit of that with the Mike White shirts and the Mike F and White and all that. Everyone's rocking it. That was a manufactured attempt to gel and grow and try to get that push. Like maybe the switching of Mike White for Zach Wilson, maybe that was enough to trigger the excitement in the fan base and the excitement in the locker room. Didn't work out. Not to mention the defense. It's kind of.
I think every single person in this locker.
See, Ryan's got to get better at moving his stuff around. And even the defense did not hold up their end of the bargain. They played phenomenally well at the beginning part of the season. And then no turnovers. We had, one turnover in the last month? Last 4 games? It's not a winning formula. Jets were one of the best teams in terms of takeaways early on in the season. Turnovers are the number one indicator in terms of team success. And when you don't get them, it is what it is. So 2022 season, overall, I saw growth from last year. I saw improvements in areas I didn't think I'd see quite so fast, and I saw declines in things that I thought should have been far more improved. I thought the offensive line was very disappointing. I thought the tail end of the season from the defensive line was very underwhelming. I think some of that does have to do with the incompetence on the offensive side of the ball. You can only pass rush if you have a lead, and if the Jets aren't scoring points, that's a big issue. I think I saw a stat, something like the Jets have 4 touchdowns in the last 5 games, and there were 7 teams yesterday that had 4 touchdowns. Ugh, how does that not fall on the floor? Right? It's got to be him. Quarterback plays huge. We see the Giants making the playoffs. Jet fans are frustrated at that. I can't believe they made it. Their rebuild worked so much faster. Daboll's such a better coach. All that good stuff. I've heard it all. I like Daboll. I think he is a good coach. I think Kafka is a great offensive coordinator, or will be a great offensive coordinator. I think it was a very smart hire by them. But the Giants have Daniel Jones. They have steady quarterback play. The entire season, the Jets played 3 quarterbacks. One that was really bad through a long stretch, and then the other one that got banged up and was really bad when he got back. And then Joe was kind of holding the fort down. Would have been 0-3 if it were not for a very impressive onside kick. You may like Daboll. You may not like Saleh. The head coach probably played at least a part in the success of the Giants, and maybe not so much of the success for the New York Jets. But it absolutely came down to the quarterback position, by and large. You swap Mike White onto the Giants and you swap Daniel Jones onto the Jets. You put the Jets in the NFC versus the Giants in the AFC. I don't know. I think it's a tougher ask. But good for the Giants. Their fans deserve some happiness too. So overall, I think the needle trended up. I think we did get our answer. At the beginning of the season, we were talking, okay, you got to know the answer. Is Zach Wilson your quarterback? The fact that we say we're looking for a quarterback means he's not our quarterback. At least not for next year. That much is at least clear. How much would it have sucked for Zach to get hurt like at some point in the season, like middle of the season. And then we're like, oh, what could he have been? Maybe he's a little bit better with a better offensive line. But right now, I think it was the right decision for Saleh to start Mike White for the final game against Miami. For me, you need to win this Miami game. If the Jets get blown out going into Miami and look lifeless, I don't know if any coach is 100% safe. I think someone is going to have to fall on the sword if we go in there and lay an egg. The Jets should handily take care of business on Sunday against the Dolphins, playing their most likely third-string quarterback. You cannot get blown out in that game. Things will go sideways. The nice thing is if Mike White is in for that game and things go sideways, he's not on the team next year. If you were to try and put Wilson in for the final game, I heard some people talking about that, like, oh, well, the season's lost. Let's just see what we can get out of Zach Wilson. On the surface, that sounds all right. I've seen enough from Zach Wilson this entire year that one game playing against the backups for Miami isn't going to matter all that much. And it means much more to me having Zach Wilson healthy going into the offseason, in which we might have a new offensive coordinator or may have a new quarterback coach. If he were to get hurt in a meaningless game against Miami, I would be very, very upset, especially if he tore an ACL. Then he's not even tradable. He's not doing any, not rehabilitation. He's not doing any practice basically until the end of next year. So for me, this was 100% the right move. Gotta play Mike White. See a comment in there saying tank. Right now, the Jets own the 13th pick in the draft. If the Jets were to lose, we could jump up as high as the 10th pick. We would need other things to obviously happen. We need the Saints to win. We need Tennessee to win. We need Cleveland to win. And I guess we would need the Jets to lose. But look, I'll be honest, I don't want the Jets to lose. The Jets picking a few slots down versus I don't know. You can't. I feel like I want to lose because I really want the tackle from Georgia, and I think if you lose and you get close to the top 10, you're probably getting him. And if you win, there's a shot. You're picking closer to 17, 18. Maybe not. I guess there's other teams that got to do some stuff. I don't know. I want to win. I don't want to lose. There's always someone that you can draft. I think for me, this game is more about players that are on that bubble. Guys like Herbig playing. Could he be a solution at right guard? It wouldn't shock me to see the Jets move on from Tomlinson after a year, move AVT back to his natural left guard spot. Keep him locked down there. Does AVT plus Herbig equal better than Tomlinson and AVT? Especially when you factor in the contract size? I don't know. Then you have guys, maybe like Corey Davis, that you're kind of like, what do we do? Do we keep him? His contract's not crazy, $11 million. Do you hold on to him? He's kind of been about as steady Eddie as he could be, but there's something about him from he's not always hurt, but there's always some kind of dinged up, reason why he's not 100%. Maybe you think you can get that body structure and that type of receiver at a lower cost. So maybe he winds up getting moved. Maybe you wind up having someone like Quincy Williams. You're trying to determine, is he worth it to bring in? I don't know. I think there's going to be a lot of performances this next week that we'll be keeping an eye on. I think Mike LaFleur is going to be under a microscope. I think maybe Mike White to a certain extent. I would just be surprised if he was back here in any capacity other than just as a backup. I would think if he comes back as a backup, one, I don't want it to be White versus Zach next year. That would be not a great move. So I would imagine it'd be White plus another quarterback competing, in which case you're probably going to make a move with Zach at some point. So I don't know. Disappointing season to a promising season. But ultimately probably about where I expected-ish us to be. Maybe not the way I wanted us to get to 7 wins. Frustrating. As far as who starts for quarterback in 2023, this is an interesting topic for me. I brought it up a little bit earlier. I think Jimmy Garoppolo, if LaFleur stays here, feels like that would make the most sense. At least you can have Jimmy G play in front of Zach. Maybe he's definitely our quarterback next year, and then maybe there's a some sort of competition in 2024, assuming Zach stays on the team. Who knows? I think if you were to move on from LaFleur, I think Derek Carr jumps up to the top of your list. I would argue Derek Carr should probably be towards the top of our list anyway, and I understand why people are hesitant on Derek Carr. I would argue Derek Carr is the closest thing to Kirk Cousins that we have seen since Kirk Cousins left Washington. And I don't mean it to be like, Kirk Cousins, I'm not calling him a top 5 quarterback, but I think you can win with quarterback play similar to Kirk Cousins' level. And I think Derek Carr, over the course of his career, has played between like a top 8 to top 12-ish, top 15-ish level of quarterback play. And I think if the Jets get top 15 quarterback play, I think the Jets are winning a hell of a lot of games. So we'll see. I don't know. Carr and Garoppolo got to be the two guys, I think, at the top of the list. Then you start talking about guys like Gardner Minshew. I would be stunned if Daniel Jones was not in blue next year for the Giants. Lamar Jackson is not getting traded. I think you get to the weird point of like Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. I know I keep bringing them up, but I think there's value or perceived value from this regime that may not want to give up on Zach. And they may determine that, hey, having a generational quarterback like Rodgers, who Zach looks up to, or Brady, who, is the GOAT, maybe there's a, I don't know. Maybe there's a situation where you bring them in for a year and then Zach figures it out in 2024 and now it buys them an extra year of time. I think that is something important to consider. I would try for Carr first because he's going to get cut after the Super Bowl a month before free agency starts. Then I think you go after Jimmy Garoppolo. If Jimmy Garoppolo does, it doesn't go well here. The tough thing is Miami's going to be one of the best locations for any quarterback. Like Derek Carr playing in the AFC West, do you think he may want to play with Tyreek Hill in a non-income tax state in warm weather where he's been criticized for his cold weather play, his 0-7 cold weather play? I think Miami looks like a good option for him. Jimmy Garoppolo playing with Mike McDaniel. I think that looks like a really good option. And then you got to worry about the Vegas situation. Does McDaniels try to bring in someone like Brady or Jimmy G, soaking up another quarterback that would have been, up for grabs for the New York Jets potentially? Maybe the Dolphins go after Brady. They were going to try and get Brady last year. Maybe they pull the plug on everyone. They're just like, screw it. Tua's not the guy. McDaniel's gone. They're trying to get Peyton now. Who knows? Then you got all the second tier guys, right? Like all those ones that are like perennial backups. Minshew's an interesting one. Minshew, for me, has the stats, but I don't trust him. I've watched him play, and it's something about the eyeball test that I look at and I just say, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. I don't know. You guys can let me know where you stand on all that. Let's see. I thought I saw Joe S. drop in with a comment. Let me see where that was. I thought I saw it come through. Now I don't know where it is. Donde está? Sorry about this. I am all over the place tonight. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. Joe S. is asking, let's shrink this down a little bit. Joe S. is asking, would I trade a number 1 for Sean Payton? I think you'd have to consider it, right? Like I've always loved Sean Payton as a head coach. I consider him one of the top 5 coaches in the league for the entire time that he's been there. There's definitely a little concern as far as like how much of his success was predicated on the success of a Hall of Fame quarterback in Breeze, for sure. You're going to have to trade for him. Would I give up a first-round pick for Peyton? I think I would. I think I would probably do that, just because I think there's a lot of talent here, and I do trust Joe Douglas's talent, recognition to make up some of the difference in terms of waiver wire guys and undrafted free agents, things of that nature that could plug in a little bit. As far as I think the most appealing thing for me in terms of Sean Payton is obviously the offense that he could bring in, but it's the coaching staff that he could bring in. Miles Austin getting dinged a year for gambling while it's not on the NFL or college or anything like that. Not a great look. I think that offensive side of the ball may get a little bit of an upheaval because of everything. I don't know. Who knows? Let's see. Androt Karma says, thoughts on Salah getting sponsored by Chat Your Bait. Oh, geez. Travis says, would there be a shot at Cooper Rush? Maybe. Let's see. What is Cooper Rush's contract? I don't actually know. I don't particularly want to trade for a quarterback. So Cooper Rush is going to be 30 next year. I did not realize he was that old. That feels surprising for me. But he came in as an undrafted free agent in 2017 out of Central Michigan, 6'3". So yeah, I mean, I guess easy answer is yeah, he could absolutely be the guy. I mean, he could. He's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. So I don't think Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh are going to risk their careers on someone like a Mike White or someone like a Gardner Minshew or someone like a Cooper Rush. Like that to me feels like you're just asking to get fired. It may work out in your benefit. Who knows? Maybe catch lightning in a bottle. But I feel like we're going to go the safe route. All right. We're at the 8:30 point, which means we are going to open this up to comments. I'm going to put the pinned comment in the chat for you guys to join the show. You'll be joining you click on that, join the show. You'll be asked to give camera approval. You and I will be able to see each other, but everyone else won't be able to see you. I'll be able, I think I have a longer waiting list this time. It used to be 4 people. Now I think it's more than that. So we'll see how that actually plays out here. I've got Charles backstage right now. He just joined. I just want to get to V-Man's Super Chat. V-Man says, last time the Jets clinched a playoff berth, Blockbuster had over 6,000 stores in operation, and Avatar was the biggest blockbuster of the year. Ugh. That doesn't make me feel good, Vinny. All right. We've got Charles. Charles, welcome to the cockpit.
Hey, Ryan, how was your Christmas?
I'm hanging in there. It wasn't too bad. It was nice with Shay and everything. I actually, on Thanksgiving, I came through the ceiling. I was walking in my attic and I took a misstep and I like a whole foot went
that's terrible.
right through my ceiling in my master bedroom. So I was like, quick thinking by Ryan. I got my Santa suit on. Yes, I have a Santa suit. I got back up in the attic. I put my boot on and I stuck my foot right through the ceiling. And we got a picture of it because I was like, you know what? Shay, there's going to be some opportunities to wonder about if the big guys ever come. Big guy fell through the ceiling this year.
That's great. That's cute, Ryan. Anyways, yeah, I was very disappointed with the Jets yesterday. I'm very disappointed with Robert Saleh this year. I mean, we were off to this great start and this horrible collapse. It to me, it's somewhat reminiscent of the '08 season where we were off to this great start and then we had that horrible collapse at the end. It feels like that to me. I mean, at the same time, we did see some growth. We did see something like, especially on defense, even though we haven't gotten the takeaways these past 5 games, the defense is pressuring the quarterback. The defense, I mean, Sauce Gardner's had an unbelievable season. He leads the league with 20 passes defense. That's incredible. Quentin Williams had a monster season. He had 12 sacks. Garrett Wilson's the first Jets receiver since Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker to have over 1,000 yards in a season. That's incredible. And he did it with multiple freaking quarterbacks, which to me is mind-blowing. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, my dad really wants Sean Payton. I mean, I kind of want Sean Payton too, but, we'll see what the hell happens. Obviously we're not crazy about Woody Johnson because he's so friggin' cheap and shit. Excuse my language.
Yeah, I don't think Sean Payton's an option. I would be very surprised. I think Sean Payton is the type of coach you hire where you're getting rid of Joe Douglas at the same time. And I don't particularly want to get rid of Joe Douglas. I think he's more of like the GM kind of guy. I think that's going to be a long shot. I think Sal is definitely here to stay.
Well, my dad's not crazy about him, but we'll see what the hell happens.
So what do you think the move is? Who's quarterback next year?
Personally, if we don't I love Derek Carr, but unfortunately the stats don't lie on this one. He doesn't play well in weather games. I would probably, if Aaron Rodgers could still play, I would take him.
Mm-hmm.
I love Aaron Rodgers.
Have you ever heard the stats of Derek Carr and his play in cold weather games? It's like sub 36 degrees.
Like 0-7.
He's 0-7. He averages a touchdown, and he's only thrown for over 220 yards once in those 7 games. And my comment to that would be Zach Wilson won against the Buffalo Bills, throwing for 150 yards and a touchdown in perfect weather, and we got it done. So if we get 200 yards, same type of performance in the snow, we're going to win a lot of games. Charles, thank you so much for the call. You have been ejected from the cockpit. Whoop. There we go. There's chicken.
You're out of here!
Jumping all over the place here. I've got Lima Bean up next, then Cassidy, then Daniel. I just want to jump over real quick, take care of some super chats that popped in here. Jets Maniac comes in and says, Ryan, what's up? Quick thought. I love our head coach, but I have a feeling Woody is livid from what I hear. Rumor is he might offer Rex a spot as long as they bring in a great offensive coordinator. Sad, but seems like all will go. If we lose this game, I could see there being a situation where the Jets pull the plug on everyone. I don't think it's the right move, but if you are 6-3 at the bye and you finish on a 7-win total on the season, like that's an issue. That's a big problem. I don't want Rex back. I love Rex for what Rex was when Rex was that. I don't know if there's an offense like what are you doing? Like Rex Ryan and like Frank Reich, do something like that? Don't know if that's the right move either. Who knows? Let's see. Blitzkill or Blitzcrew comes in and says, what style of quarterback would you want to see for us? A pocket passer or a more mobile guy? It's obviously going to be a more mobile guy for me, what I would prefer, because I think that adds an extra layer of complexity for a defense to pay attention to. So I would prefer mobile, but it doesn't have to be like a running quarterback, just like a mobile guy. Like I think that could be answered a bunch of different ways, but not a statue. Noseskills says, is it as easy as let's get Peyton? Is he okay with working under Joe Douglas? Plus, both offensive and defensive schemes redone and set back by potentially 1+ years equals mini rebuild. We better be sure. I don't think Peyton is the silver bullet. I don't. I like Sean Payton a lot. I don't think he's coming back. I don't think he's coming to the Jets. I think he's going to sit out another year, and he's going to wind up going whoever has the number 1 pick in the 2024 draft, and he's going to go for that kid from USC. That's my my guess there. Let's see. Gonna jump over to the phones. I see Richard Delgado says, hire Jason Garrett and always be mediocre. I guess we could go that route. All right, we got Lima Bean on the phone. Lima Bean, how you doing, brother?
Well, yesterday was really hard to watch, but after the emotions kind of came down, it's just I'm trying to put everything in context. At one hand, yes, it was awful. This collapse has been awful. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But I guess the chaos I've been seeing on whatever Jets sites or TV or media, whatever, it's just pulling the plug seems like such a same old Jets thing to do. It's you got to look at it with the scope of things. We kept Todd Bowles and Mike McCagnon forever while they were just going nowhere. Yet all of a sudden we finally have a 0.1 to 0.2. Yes, it was bad, how it ended, but you got to see it in a grander scheme. We finally have a coaching staff and the GM that's working in tandem. Hence why you see the drafts as becoming as good as they do, because they're finding fits for both sides. Mm-hmm. It's just, I'm not sure if Salah will work out. I'm not trying to say that he's the guy or not the guy, but you can't, I took a look just now of many top tier head coaches that in years past, and many of them don't get successful until year 3 or year 4. It's very rare to find a guy like Brian Dable, and you got to all the credit in the world to the Giants. They're in a do that in the AFC, and and also with our schedule, they had a much easier schedule and in a much easier conference. Yes, their division is tough. I'll give them that, but overall, it was a lot. Circumstances were different. They were on a veteran team versus we're on a young team. The reason why we had the 7 wins are the young guys we drafted in the first 2 years. Think about that. And second, with the whole Sean Payton things, he's an intriguing option, but I hear he wants to be a GM and coach, kind of like a Bill Belichick thing. So that would not work out, that's a clean house completely. And if they do that, you better be sure, And then on top of that, I understand we're saying that we caught a couple of breaks for our early wins, but then you could say the losses we had, those teams caught a couple of breaks with us losing AVT, Brees Hall, the quarterback mismanagements, and this and that. We had our issues too that teams got lucky on. It wasn't our wins are the one thing with the narratives is it has to go both ways. It can't be when we win we're lucky, but when we lose the other we just suck. The things broke. The Lions game, we could have easily we were an inch away from winning a lot of these games. We were one. That could have been different. And then the New England match against the Vikings, there were so many things on top of that. And then, fun fact, I just always look at New England, they're always the reason why the plug is pulled on us. And we got to, obviously it stopped at some point, but I think it's almost like Bill Belichick is, in Woody's ass, just tearing it apart. Because then Woody gets upset, then he does something stupid, and then we restart this again. And then same thing. Sam Darnold's star ended with Bill Belichick. Geno Smith, well, besides the punch from Ike and Bali, he had one of his worst games, 3 interception games against Bill Belichick. It's always Bill Belichick, Mark Sanchez.
That's it!
Lima Bean, you've been ejected. I'm going to Cassidy over there. Cassidy, welcome to the cockpit.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Man, I just got to say that game just pissed me off so much. I mean, you could clearly tell. I was saying this the whole time, Mike White literally looks scared to death. He looks injured. He shouldn't be playing. Sorry, choking on some food. So anyways, he just looked scared the whole time. He wasn't stepping into his throws, didn't look himself. And, a lot of people are like, oh, man, Mike's not our guy. He sucks. I'm like, he shouldn't be out there in the first place.
Now, do you think the injury was the reason why he didn't play well, or is it just maybe the level of play that he can provide in general?
1,000%. His throws didn't look the same. He was falling back as he's throwing. He looked like Zach Wilson, but worse.
Yeah, I would say the similarities between him and Zach Wilson for yesterday's game were interesting. I didn't think we'd see that level of quarterback play.
Exactly, and I was excited. Sorry, sorry. I was
That's
excited
right.
for the game, man.
Mhm.
And then like the running game's working, and you don't stick to it. Like, what are you doing? Are you that stupid? And then like Robert Saleh is just standing there with his thumb up his butt the whole time. Like, do something. Fire the offensive coordinator. He's trash. Like, he's literally just garbage. And on top of that, why not just throw Strevler in? Just something.
Try to get any kind of life there, I guess. I think once you
Anything.
pull Mike White for Strevler, you're probably admitting the season's over at that point anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
Yeah, I don't know. I like the mystique of Strevler, but I like him more as a compliment than like an answer to the quarterback.
And they didn't even try to use him at all. Throw him in the
I was
game.
shocked. He only had like special teams plays, I think, right?
I didn't see him.
Yeah.
I didn't see him at all. And on top, maybe I missed him, but I didn't see him on offense. And secondly, it's not it's the fact that Mike White was clearly hurt. He shouldn't have even been in the game. That's why I say that.
Yeah, I think this was their Hail Mary. This was like, we saw so much from Zach that we know he's not the guy. Like, Flacco's not the guy. Strevler's not the guy. If they had anyone that could have been... Yeah, like, if they had anyone that could have played to, like, 85% of a good Mike White, I think they probably would have used that person instead of Mike White. I think injury did play a part of it. I don't know if it was the biggest part, but...
It looked bad. The offensive line looked like complete trash. I mean, if they don't fire LaFleur because Saleh doesn't want to fire him, he's gonna go probably. And I don't care. Bring in Rex Ryan. At least if he has a good quarterback and they get some offensive linemen, dude, that's a contender. I sound like a nut job right now, maybe, but look, it's a contender. Like, think about it. You throw in
Cassidy, I'm ejecting you from the cockpit.
You're out of here.
Thank you so much, brother, for calling in. What's up? Who's up next? We've got Daniel B. Daniel B., welcome to the cockpit. Daniel B., are you there? Going once. Daniel B's gone. Okay, Joe, we got Joe coming into the cockpit. Joe, how you doing tonight?
Hey, Ryan, how are you?
I'm hanging in there. How was your Christmas?
My break was all right. I'll tell you what, though, we should have won about 11 games this year. It's sad.
Tell me about it. It's brutal that we're going to come away with 7, maybe 8.
Yeah. I mean, we should have beat the Patriots twice. We should have won the Lions game. We should have won the Vikings game. And we should have probably, next week, we should beat the Dolphins and beat them twice. And we should be in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, like, what do the Jets do? What happens if we do lose this upcoming game? Like, are heads just straight up rolling right away?
Well, I don't know. I know what they got to fix. They got to get a left tackle. They're going to get a legit number 2 wide receiver, a tall one, not a short one, even though I like Elijah Moore, but he still hasn't proved anything yet. They have to get a what was another position I was thinking of?
Got to go linebacker and safety as well. I mean, on the offensive side,
I was going to say linebacker because T.J. Mosley, they're not going to pay his salary next year, even though he's a big force for our team and a leader. But I got to say one thing, though, before I go.
Sure.
Zach Wilson, I've been very hard on him since he got benched. And that's, all these weeks. And I think people got to give him a chance, though, because, I have to agree with Zach Wilson's mom. I think New York Jets fans are very toxic, man. I think it's going to be very, very hard for quarterbacks to succeed here if people don't start giving these quarterbacks a chance. Dan Fouts, who was an awesome quarterback, is in the Hall of Fame. His first 3 years, and look at Wikipedia, it says his first 3 years were terrible. His stats were as worst as Zach Wilson's. And my man's in the Hall of Fame. If it was up to Jets fans, we would have got rid of him after the first year.
See, our fan base, I think I don't know if it's all our fan base. I think our fan base is triggered by the media at large as well. And I think it's just that negativity just it drives people's attention. You're more likely to engage with something that you're upset with. So that's just the articles we get, and it's just kind of the BS that we're constantly fed. And I think the organization almost has to come to a standpoint of, what is best for the quarterback situation. Maybe it's not putting all the expectation of having the number 2 overall pick. Maybe it is having a guy like an Alex Smith, a more established type of quarterback at the helm when you go trade for a quarterback, because there is a clear expectation for the quarterback to sit then and learn. And maybe that's the best route. Not having the expectations on the young kid coming out of college who was just top dog at his school. I think that does play some type of mental games with guys as well. It's interesting stuff. Joe, thank you so much for the call. You've been ejected from the cockpit. All right, we got Kevin up next. Kevin, welcome to the cockpit.
Hey, what's going on? Hey, I am proud to say that I have not been broken like a pretzel by our general manager. Okay, I'm still safe. All right, I'm gonna get some pretzels later because they're great. I think, by the way. But
for those of you that don't know this is Kevin, the fan that was upset with Joe Douglas after the game. Kevin, how are you doing tonight?
I can't wait for the chat to see the comments later. But yeah, no, because I'm a beloved figure in Jet fandom, obviously, or not.
I'm going to call you out while I have you on stream. I think you're a jerk for yelling at the GM. I don't think you're wrong with what you said. I just think you're a jerk.
Listen, Ryan, and that's fair, and I get it, and I appreciate it. But when you're out there in the rain and you're watching the Jets score 3 points, and you're sitting there and you're a Jets season ticket holder for years and you're paying money. I'm paying $1,500 a year to watch this. I mean,
hey, I understand.
This year. So I get it. And I get why people would be upset with me for doing that. But nevertheless, people stand out to get autographs. It's not crazy. It's not stalking. It's part of the business. All right. But let me tell you something. This is a terrible performance by New York Jets in the last couple of weeks, and we got to look at it. And there have been comments about Woody Johnson making some moves, maybe, but he has to look over the river and see the Giants with first-year head coach, a first-year GM making the playoffs, and I think he's simmering. I think he went out to Seattle. He went on that plane trip, and he is sitting there shaking his head and going, "What is going on?" And I will tell you another story, by the way. When I was out there, quote unquote, stalking the GM, I saw Chris Johnson come out. He looked pissed. I'll tell you, he looked pissed, legitimately, like he was pissed. He came out there. He has a wife, and he came out and he looked annoyed. And I was just he was shaking his head visibly, he looked visibly upset. So I really do wonder if the Johnsons do make some type of accountability statement. It might be Mike LaFleur. It might be something. I do agree with you. I think Salah and JD are back for 23, but there has to be some type of statement from the owner to say this is not acceptable. This is not good. You can't have 4 years under Joe Douglas and no playoff appearances. You can't be in the third year of Robert Saleh, which would be next year, of course, if we don't make the playoffs and have no playoff appearances. So I want the owner to come out and say, an owner playoffs or bust mandate. I really want him to be aggressive like that. I know that's not Woody's style. I know everybody hates Woody Johnson. I don't really know why. I don't think he's that bad of an owner, but whatever. But I would like him to come out and make a public statement and be like, this is not acceptable. This is what the Jets need to do. And it's for the fan base. But I'll let you have your take on that.
Ejected. No, but I'll hit you real quick with this. I think Woody and Chris are probably pissed off that they lost on national television the way they lost. The team looked like they gave no effort. If we come out this final game of the season and we give the same effort we gave this past week and the week before, it would not shock me to see a Mangini-esque firing. I do think Salah comes back. I think if we come out flat, we're probably more likely to see LaFleur gone. I think if we come out and we fight and we show some offensive juice, then LaFleur's back and we're just bringing in an offensive, assistant or quarterback coach or something along those lines. Kevin, you're a jerk, but you've been ejected. Gold Dog Cockman!
You're out of here!
Kevin. All right, let me just get to some comments real quick. Matthew Smith dropped in with a member super chat, says, Zach's play is not his fault. Coaches were not there for him on the sideline. Mahomes and Rodgers both sat. This fan base would never let him learn. I should pull up some interesting stats from Jet Nation. There was a thread over there that one of the posters made, and I'm drawing a blank on the name at the moment, but it was a comparison of perceived hits and perceived misses for quarterbacks in the first 2 rounds based on them sitting or starting right away. And there was some metric as far as sitting was determined to be at least 8 games, something along those lines. And they found it was almost a 50-50 split of some guys it worked, other guys it didn't. So I'm not exactly sure what to make of it. I think it's an interesting thought. I would think to have the guy sit personally because it hasn't worked out for us the other way the last few times. And then Shivanshu comes in, says, our fan base sounds so toxic sometimes that many want Rex back. What the fuck? Does nobody remember all the games Rex's teams came out flat and unprepared? I love Rex for what Rex did for us when Rex did it. And I am happy to keep that in that little memory bank of Rex in my head and not go that route. I like Rex. He's been out of the league a long time, and his last stint as a head coach really didn't look all that good. Guys, make sure you hit that like button on the way in if you're hanging out. If you want to call in, all you got to do is the pinned comment in the live chat. I got a queue of people up right here. Next one up, New York Jets fan 4, brother. Welcome to the cockpit.
What's going on, Ryan?
I'm hanging in there. What'd you think of this past game? What do you think happens? Oh, Happy New Year to you as well. See, I'm getting all into the questions and not even exchanging pleasantries. Talk to me. How you feeling?
First of all, I have sort of two things, and they sort of go together. But and I've been sort of saying this for a while now. Most people got excited when they heard, Mike LeBooth, we were calling him, going upstairs, and that's fine. But I see that more if you have a vet quarterback that you could rely on relaying a message. I wasn't a fan of that. Like Zach Wilson, we lost, unfortunately, with Greg Knapp, the unfortunate accident. But why wouldn't you want to stay down there with your young quarterback, coming off the field, looking at a tablet, whatever they do, but at least you're there. Like you have that connection with that player. You see most of these coaches, they go to the sidelines when the player's struggling. You have that communication. I don't see that with this team. And the other thing I was going to say that sort of goes to this is Salah yesterday just looked lost on the sideline. Like there's no urgency to go to his either offense, defense, special teams when they're on the sideline saying, guys, like go in a huddle. You see Belichick do it all the time. You see like Mike Tomlin, he does it all the time. All these great coaches that have consistent winning, they all have a little bit of nasty to them. And whether it's nasty or cheerleading, whatever it is, they go to their players. They get that feeling in that huddle of, telling them what they want. He just looked dead yesterday on the sidelines, and he's looked like that since the bye.
Yeah, I think there was definitely an exhaustion. I think the first 3 drives for the Seahawks when they go up 17-0 and it's his defense that has let up the points, and you don't really have a solution at the quarterback position. The offensive line is Swiss cheese. You can't get a running game going. I think we just felt beat. I think that's what it was. I think it felt like that Thursday night game knocked it out of us. That was the last gasp.
That's where coaching though. That's where your coaching has to come in and and get your guys going, get your guys thinking positively.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was only a 2-score game. Like the game was still there. It's
Mm-hmm.
not like they were getting well. They started off getting up. It was going to be a blow up, but it was still there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just not seeing it from them. There's no urgency. There's no and I think and I hate, but I think Brant Boyer needs to go now. Like the special teams has just not been great, and he's survived what 2, 3 coaching staff now. I think it's time for us to find another special teams coach.
Ooh, that is an interesting take. Interesting. I don't know. I feel like I liked Zerline, and for the most part, like I like the special teams aside from like the 2 punt returns. And for me, I think I'm more on the side of like let's get rid of the punter than Boyer, but I can understand your thought process. Maybe it's just not working.
Yesterday was just a prime example. The block punt, the guy was standing there and nobody was covering him. He was literally a free runner to the punter. There's just too much miscommunications, and it's happened too often this year.
Yeah, that was an interesting one. Like, do you blame the guy that should have been blocking that player, or do you blame man because it wasn't hit? He didn't actually get hit.
Well,
He
no,
just
I'm
kicked
not,
it.
I'm honestly, I don't blame man on that at all because there was literally a free runner to the punter, and he literally did what he actually got. I was surprised he even got the ball off. Like I'm surprised he even made it to and actually he got it to the 50-yard line, which I was surprised. I was shocked.
Yeah, it's kind of like
the guy
the
was
glass
not
half
blocked.
full, right? Like, would you rather him like attempt a full swing kick and have it blocked go backwards, or would you rather him get it at least to the 50? I get it, brother. All right, you have been ejected from the cockpit.
You're out of here!
Good call. Good call. All right, I got Jets maniac Matt on. Welcome to the cockpit, brother.
What's going on? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well. How you feeling about our Jets?
So I'm going to go on a little rant here, but I promise hopefully I keep it clear because I got to tell you, I kind of agree with the previous caller in more ways than one. As a season ticket holder, when we go to those games and you come out of that stadium and you're 3-5 on the year, and then you raise ticket prices by 18% after losing 7 games in a row is a little beyond me. And unfortunately, I really liked Salah coming into it, but there is a clear problem when you have this much talent. I don't care how bad the quarterback play is. You cannot go 1-7 after starting 6-3. And to have a player like Conklin, who was on Minnesota before, and yeah, maybe he's dropped a couple passes here and there throughout the year, but he comes out and he's asked after the game. He's like, "Yeah, we came out flat." He's like, "I've been on a lot of teams and I played college ball and pro ball." And he's like, "We came out of that game and I felt like none of us wanted to be there." And in my mind, that is a major problem with the coaches. And like the previous callers have talked about, you look at these successful coaches, and I am totally in favor of a coach that doesn't call plays because I think it's easier to manage and fix things as the game goes on. But there has to be some motivation. I mean, Salah looks like a wet noodle. I mean, he's standing there, and I'm trying to understand. Like, I'm watching that game. I go, this is unbelievable. What were we watching in the beginning of the year? So I think, I don't know what's going to happen, but I do think that unfortunately, like you said, we lose this game on Sunday in Miami or Saturday, whatever it is, you can forget. You can forget about any of them staying here because there's been no adjustments. All these other teams make adjustments on us midway through the year, and that's why we've lost. And our coaches, we're going to keep doing the same thing because we were 6-3, but we're not going to change anything because, we're going to succeed. These other teams are coming in and saying, this is what the Jets do. We're going to make sure that they don't do anything properly because their coaches don't adjust.
That is an interesting interview by Conklin. I didn't hear that actually. So for him to say that they came out flat, that is a damning indictment on the motivational side of this coaching staff. But I would go so far as to say I think that enthusiasm probably died Thursday night, and I think it was like organizationally. Like I think that was just, I mean, it could fall on Salah first, it could fall on whoever, but I think that's when like everything came undone, was national TV, losing to the quarterback we should have had in that draft. I think the team was just beat down. Matt, thank you so much for the call. Great thoughts. You have been ejected from the cockpit. Up next, we got Matt Riley. Matt, welcome to the cockpit.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm hanging in there. How are you feeling about our Jets?
Listen, man, it's been tough. Like, this team looked like they had so much potential. We were able to win a playoff game, like going into the bye, but like we just haven't been able to get it done. But honestly, I kind of want to lose this Sunday because I want the better draft pick. Because like at this point, like it just went so downhill that it's like we might as well just get the better pick. And we're able to get a top 10 pick, so hopefully we do.
Yeah, I think we can. The highest we could get, I guess, is the 10 pick, because everyone else has a weaker strength of schedule than us. I mean, I guess if the Rams win, does that get them? No, that doesn't. Yeah, I guess we can get to 10, but I don't know. We need Cleveland, Tennessee, and New Orleans to all win. That's how we get up that high.
Yeah.
Do you think if we lose, you think the whole coaching staff goes, or do you think there's a situation like if
I
they've
think
already
you.
decided LaFleur's
I
gone?
I mean, because here's the thing: Salah and Lafleur are such good friends that I feel like if you get rid of one, you gotta get rid of both. I think you stick with the defensive coordinator because it's not been the defense's fault. I mean, our defense has been amazing. It's just because we can't put points on the board. So I'd say keep the defensive coordinator, get rid of the offensive coordinator and Salah, and then after
That would be
that, I say
weird.
you go all O line in the draft because we got to go all O line in the draft, and I think you got to get Derek Carr. I mean, I'd do anything to get Lamar, but how realistic is that? It's really not that realistic. So I do everything to get Derek Carr and just draft all offensive line.
Yeah, I don't agree with firing Salah. I think Salah should be able to fire LaFleur without it impacting him so much. Like I think that's just going to be one of the things he's going to have to do at some point in his young coaching career. But I don't know who you would bring in if you fire Salah. Like are you getting Sean Payton?
Yeah, I agree.
Is there?
I only said that. I only said that because they're such good friends. I don't think Salah's a
Sure.
bad coach. I just think the quarterback play's been so bad and the offensive coordinator's been so bad that I mean maybe it is good for a change. But I think Salah's like a lock to stay because I mean he looked good in the beginning of the year, but and then after that bye it just went downhill. But I think you definitely got to get rid of LaFleur, and I'd say probably go after Frank Reich. I think you either got to get Garoppolo, Carr, or Lamar. I don't see Rodgers. I don't see us getting Rodgers anymore, just because like they're about to make the playoffs now, and I just don't see him leaving anymore.
I think
But
Jordan
I
Love's
mean,
going to pull a power play. I think he's going to say it's him or me, and the Packers are going to have to decide at that point, do they want to try and figure out something with like moving Rodgers? I think Rodgers has a very realistic shot at happening. I just don't understand how the contract stuff would work with the Packers because of the dead cap hit
yeah,
that they'd have to take on.
yeah. But I have a question. I don't really want to draft the quarterback, but if C.J. Stroud somehow falls to like say pick 11, because let's say some stuff goes our way, would you draft him and reconnect him and Garrett Wilson?
I think you have to seriously consider it. I would. I think all options are on the
He looked
table.
really good against Georgia.
I don't particularly want to draft a quarterback in the first round, but I will be looking at all the quarterback prospects and giving my thoughts on the different prospects because I think there is a shot the Jets do go that route. I feel like we're looking for a vet. I think, like you said, Carr, Garoppolo, those feel like the right options for us. Brother, thank you so much for the call. You have been ejected from the cockpit. Up next, we got Daniel B. Daniel B., thank you so much for calling in. Welcome to the cockpit.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
You see what's happening in the Bills game right now? I think a player just died on the field.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they've been giving CPR to him for like 9
Holy
minutes straight, and he's not getting up. Yeah, I'm
Oh
kind of
my
like
God.
shocked right now. I'm not gonna lie.
That's terrible. Did they say who the player
Yeah,
was?
he was the backup for Jordan Poyer.
Oh my God. Was it a
On
head-to-head
special
shot?
teams, there was a like kickoff return, and then he hit somebody. He got up, took a few steps, and just fell. And they've been
Oh my
administering
God.
CPR to him.
Holy hell. That is
Yeah, I don't
absolutely
know.
terrifying. I
Like,
hope
the
he's all
ambulance is
right. I hope he
healed and
just...
everything.
this could be the end of special teams. If someone dies on the field, I don't think you see another kickoff return.
Like everybody's crying. Josh Allen's crying. The
Yeah,
ambulance
that
is like giving
seems.
CPR, and it's like
Oh,
15 minutes straight.
oh my God! I have it up right
Yeah,
here.
I
I
don't
haven't been
know.
watching. Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know. It was oh man, I don't know. Like my heart's like I feel hurt right now.
Dude, this is absolutely terrifying for this kid. Jesus
Yeah,
Christ. I guess anything
yeah,
Jets
yeah.
related you
Sorry, I thought I'd
want
just
to.
let you know. It's kind of crazy.
No,
Yeah.
I appreciate
Um.
that. Thank you for letting me know. Holy hell.
Um.
I'm going to reset your timer.
No, that's all right. But I guess one of the things I disagree. One of the callers, I think his name was Lime Green. I don't know what his name was. I feel
Hmm.
like we give too much excuses to the coaching staff.
Hmm.
Like it's as simple as like they have it or they don't. It's like how come Brian Dable can do all this stuff and there's no
Hmm.
excuses. Like if a player, like something about Brian Dable that I love is that in the beginning of the season, I remember I was watching the Titans game, and then when Daniel Jones threw it, it was a bad pick, a really bad pick. But
Hmm.
ever since then, like he, as soon as he got back in the last sideline, he ripped them apart. And
Hmm.
then you never see Salah do that. You never see Salah just like rip the guy apart, like for making a mistake or do something dumb. Like I don't know. It's. I feel
Hmm.
like it's like the coach said it's either you have it or you don't. And like it's just I don't know. It bothers me. So
Yeah.
that's something I want to say.
Dude, I'm not going to lie. I'm shook right now.
Yeah, me too.
uh,
They just put the game back on. I don't know what's going on though. Are you watching
I,
the game right
uh,
now?
I am watching the game. I got it up to the side right now. I don't have any audio on it. Um, I'm getting some messages on my phone, though, that are not good.
Do you see all the players like held together,
I do,
crying and
yeah. They're
stuff?
all huddled around. I'm probably like 45 seconds behind you guys, but man, it's just scary and sad.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I want to see like what
Hey Ryan,
happened because
I'm gonna hang up. I'm gonna let you process or do whatever you gotta do. Okay.
yeah, I appreciate that, brother. Thank you. All right, sorry about that. Got a little kind of confused here. Guys, I'm gonna call it here. I apologize, Thomas, Broadway, and Christian. I'm a little off my game at this particular moment in time. So I'm gonna hop off, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. I'll be on for the Talking Jets panel. Boys and girls, enjoy your night. Take it easy.